Hey, Marie Hall here. And today I want to speak with you today about doing it afraid. Moving past your fears to live your best life, pursuing your passions that have been buried deep down inside of your heart. For just a minute, I want you to think back to when fear became the driving force in your life. Did it happen during your childhood? What about maybe during your teenage years? Or maybe it happened when you were transitioning into adulthood. How about when you became a full grown adult? Or as they like to say today, a whole adult. But I've come to realize that you were not born with fear. Now you might be thinking, what? I'm not born with fear? No, you're not born with fear. Let me prove it to you. When you were a small child, you were fearless. You did any and everything that you wanted to do. You had an invisible S on your chest that said, I am powerful, I am strong, and I am mighty. So what happened? What caused you to develop this fear? Maybe you're saying to yourself, well, Marie, I've always been afraid. I've never taken an opportunity to move outside of my comfort zone. But today, I want you to look at some things differently and to explore the why. So, when you were a child, you would climb trees, you jumped off of high places. When you fell off your bike, you got back up, dusted yourself off, and got right back on your bike and started riding it again. Hold up, wait a minute, maybe that's me. But seriously, I want you to think of yourself as a child. Were you fearless? Did you have that invisible S on your chest? So what made you become like a turtle and result back into your shell? I want us to explore three things about fear. The first one is that fear is planted. Now you're probably saying, how is fear planted? Well, think about it. When you were a child, your parents may have said certain things to you that caused you to be afraid. Now, your parents didn't mean any harm. Maybe they were doing it unaware or unknowingly. But maybe they said certain things like, you're too small to do that. You're not equipped enough to do that. Maybe they called you names. You're ugly, you're dumb, you're stupid. Maybe your parents told you that you weren't able to do that because that wasn't something that they felt you were qualified to do or that you were strong enough to do. And so those things develop low self-esteem and low self-worth in us. Maybe you experienced a childhood trauma that further crippled you and further resulted in you believing that there was nothing good ever going to come about in your life. The second fear I want you to think about is the fear that's implanted in us by our friends, family, and the relationships that we get in. Maybe you've confided in friends and family, and they've told you every reason why something wasn't going to take place, and every reason why you weren't qualified or good enough to do those things. Well, when that happens, we begin to internalize those things, and they essentially become a part of us. They essentially become our reality. And now I want to explore the third type of fear. And this is the biggest type of fear that you can have, the fear of your thoughts. You know, the thoughts that are negative, and every time that you want to do something or you have an idea, those negative thoughts begin to bombard your mind. And they tell you that you're not able to do this. And they give you every reason why you can't do that. You've heard of the acronym FEAR, fear, false evidence appearing real. Well, that's exactly what it is. It's a false narrative that is a story that plays over and over in our minds, telling us why we can't do something. Now, my friends, I'm here to tell you that you can do it afraid. And I want to share my story with you as I give you 3 things that I want you to do immediately when you leave this session with me. I was just like you, and I don't want you to feel alone. The very first thing that we're going to do is change that acronym FEAR into finally exercising authoritative responses. That's right. We're going to change our thought pattern. That's number 1. You're going to change the way that you think and the things that you believe about yourself. Finally, exercising authoritative responses. Because our thoughts can be the biggest things that cripple us and keep us locked up in the boxes that we've created for ourselves, we have to begin to change the way that we think about things every time a negative thought comes about. So that's why you're going to take authority over your thoughts and your responses to the way that you react and behave towards what's happening to you and how you experience things. For example, when I was writing my first book, the very first thing, I was bombarded with a lot of negative thoughts. Why are you writing this book? Who wants to read that book? You don't really have anything to say. No one's going to buy that book. Maybe your thoughts were, you're not good enough. You're not qualified. No one told you that you can speak on that subject matter. And so our thoughts keep us from reaching our destiny. And so I want you to begin to change your thought processes. That happened to me, and I want to let you know that it is a normal response. We internalize these things, and it causes us to become stuck. We become comfortable. So I want you to begin to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's time for you to get outside of the norm, to get outside of your box and take a step towards faith, to take a step towards the things that God has placed inside of you so that you can live your best life possible. The second thing that I want you to do as soon as you leave me is to begin to believe in yourself. If you're like me, I had a lot of low self-esteem, low self-worth, and I had a lot of doubt. I never believed that I could do it. I was okay cheering everyone else on, sitting on the sidelines saying, yay, you got it. Go for it. You can do it. I was their biggest cheerleader. But deep down inside, I was hurting because I knew that God had placed so many good things inside of me. I had journals and journals of things, of ideas and books that God had told me to write. But for years and years, I was afraid to step out and do the things that God had placed inside of me. And so today, I want you to believe in yourself. Every time those negative thoughts come about, I want you to take authority and change the response. Say, I can do it. God said I can do it. He placed it inside of me to do it. And so I want you to really realize your potential and your worth. Begin to believe in yourself. No, it's not easy. That's why every time a negative thought comes, you have to combat it with a positive thought. You have to begin to speak the word over your situation and over those negative thoughts that are being fed to you. It can be done, and you can change your trajectory. That's essentially what I did. I reached a pivotal point in my life, a defining moment where I began to take authority over my life. I realized that things weren't going to change unless I changed them. I began saying the same thing over and over and over again. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. But how can it give and how can it change if you don't change it? So you have to be the change that you want to see. You have to take action, which leads me to my third thing that I want you to do, and that is to take action. My friends, God is trying to give you something great. There are great things waiting on the other side of your fear. He wants to give you the land of milk and honey. But in order for you to get that land of milk and honey, you have to take action. You have to take the first step. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that you have to do it all at once, that you have to have everything mapped out, that you have to have everything planned out. But I'm telling you that you must take the first step. Will you join me today in taking the first step? I know you can do it. If you like me, you probably don't want to be humiliated. You probably don't want to be judged. You don't want to be talked about. You don't want to fail. But how will you know if you don't take the first step? How will you know if you never get outside of your box? If you never take the limits off of yourself and just do it afraid? I'm telling you today that God is hitting the reset button just for you. It doesn't matter how old you are, what has happened in your past, and what's happening in your present. God is hitting the reset button. He's telling you to do it afraid. As soon as you take the first step, He will take two. But you have to be willing to take that first step. I did it afraid. When I wrote my first book, I was so afraid and I almost didn't do it. I almost allowed those thoughts to creep back up on me and stop me from doing what I wanted to do. But I finally exercised authoritative responses. I spoke back to those negative thoughts with authority and told them to be gone. And I want you to do the same thing. It's your time to shine. It's your time to take authority over your life and live your best life possible. God is hitting the reset button for you. It's time to pick yourself out of the pit and to do it afraid. It's time for you to get off the bench and participate in the game. There's great things waiting for you on the other side, my friends. Will you do it afraid? Will you allow me to activate what's been locked up inside of you for years and to finally pursue your passions? I want you to do it afraid. I thank you for this opportunity and meeting me here at the Level Up Summit and allowing me to activate you to do it afraid. Now I want to give you an invitation to connect with me outside of today. My name is Marie Hall, and I am a minister, educator, author, and speaker and transformational coach. I want to connect with you. You may reach me and get more information at my website, www.mariesboatwright.com. Now, my friends, I am so excited to meet you on the other side. Do it afraid. Be blessed.